And let's begin. So welcome to the One Click App webinar. We, as a company, we focus on building superior quality software for Chick-fil-A to help you to manage your team better. And today's topic is how to manage rotating buddies. We're also going to cover a few other things, but let me just quickly, for those of you who are new, let me tell you who's on the call today and what we're going to cover. So today's presenters are James Finlinson. He's the founder and president of the company. He's an entrepreneur and passionate software developer who was a devoted employee of Chick-fil-A for over 3 years. And Mike Alvarez, I'm the founder and CEO, and I work for eBay, Omniture, MyFamily.com, Ancestry.com, and other tech giants. And I've started 2 tech companies and have successfully sold them. And my full-time efforts on helping startup companies to scale, just like this one. Let me tell you a little bit about, this is only going to be a minute or two of just an overview of where we were and where we are. A year ago, there was one store and the One Click App software. One Chick-fil-A store in Ammon, Idaho, had about 150 team members that were being served at the time. Today, we serve over 9,000 Chick-fil-A team members, and these team members are responsible for generating over $500 million in food sales a year for Chick-fil-A. So quite a bit of progress and quite a bit of time and effort has gone into the platform over the last 4 years now. Let me quickly give you a few testimonials of what people are saying about us. One is by Kevin Johnson, Director of Talent Development at Chick-fil-A Transborn. Why are we spending so much time manually copying names from hot schedules when we should focus on growing our business? The other one is we run a $9 million Chick-fil-A on the One Click App software. That's from Jessica Linehart, General Manager of Ammon, Idaho. And I'm pretty sure that they run a lot more, have a lot more sales now. We are ready to get into the digital age. Carolina Witcher, former Executive Director of Abilene, Texas. One Click App was a game changer for us at Hinesville, Georgia. It's now a must-have in my new Plaza del Obispo, California store. Christopher Lewis, owner and operator of Plaza del Obispo Chick-fil-A store. Today's topic is managing rotating buddies. On the agenda is, so James Finlinson is going to be presenting today. On the agenda is our efforts in the development department over the last month, a brief intro to the software for new users, simple ways to get started with rotating buddies features, and a quick preview of our next project, the layout editor, and a Q&A session so that everybody can ask all the questions that you want. So let me escape from this and stop sharing. And I'm going to ask James to go ahead and start sharing his screen to get going. And I hope we're getting a lot of snow here in Utah. That's my backyard. I hope everybody's in a warm place today. Let's go ahead and get started. James, if you can share your screen.
All right, thanks, Mike. That was really great. I'm actually on site in Los Angeles right now. I'm in El Segundo. Meet Trey. Oh, my camera's not on. Where's my camera? This is Trey. He's here. He's taking off. My camera.
All right, let me enable your camera.
My camera's not on. Anyway, I've been on site in Los Angeles, and I've been here in the store. This is called Chick-fil-A PCH in Maple, Pacific Coastal Highway in Maple, in El Segundo. And I've been, am I back?
Yep, you're back. There you are.
All right, so I've been working with the team here to develop new features, and I'll give a demo. I'll give a quick preview of those at the end after we're done. As far as development goes, this last month, we've handled almost just over 30 support requests of people sending in emails and submitting our forms to adjust one-click and make it customizable to their store. And we've made a bunch of improvements to the software. We fixed a lot of small things. And at the end, I'm going to show you the progress we've made on our layout editor and the new break view, which I just barely finished and is available on beta right now. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, screen sharing is disabled, Mike. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'll show you how this works. A lot of stores like to rotate after you're using one-click for a time and you start getting and the stores are generally more organized. Then there comes a time when it's like, okay, so I'm pretty good at assigning somebody to a position and they can stay there the whole time, but I want to do better than that. And I want to put my team members in a position and then help them change partway through the shift or every 30 minutes or every hour and manage changes like that. So this is how it works. When you have already created your setup, now this is our demo store. None of this is real information, so this is all private. In your demo store, you can in your one-click app, you can create your setups and drag people into positions according to whatever your shift leader thinks is appropriate and correct. And if you need to move them, you can, and you put people in different spots in mobile cash or payment. And you customize it and it works just for your store. And then it's like, okay, but it's cold and I don't want somebody to be on IPOS lane 1 for the whole shift. And so we've already had this feature available where we can create an 11 o'clock setup, and then you might choose to create a 2 o'clock setup as well. And you might shift some of the people around and do that in advance and say, okay, we're going to move Celeste around and we'll put her on IPOS, and we'll take Caden from IPOS and go put him on desserts and move him inside and outside. And you've been able to do that the whole time. That's part of the core functionality. The new feature that was released last month and is now live and available starting today is when we put out the feature. It's called Rotating Buddies, and it will actually handle and help you move people back and forth automatically. So that's how it works. You create your setup like this, and then you ask us and we'll add a Rotating Buddies section down to the bottom. And then what that looks like is after you create your setup up above, you're going to come over onto the right and you're going to drag one of these people onto the setup a second time into a rotating container. In this case, I'll grab Kaylee, and Kaylee is currently the shift leader. And so I'm going to have Kaylee back up with lane 2. Actually, I'm not going to use Kaylee because she's the shift leader. I'm going to use Kylie. I'm going to use Kylie and Ethan. You can drag them over a second time. Now I've already set this up over here. So Caden, if we look, Caden is on desserts inside, and Matthew, D, is outside. He's on drinks. That's not right. They're both outside. I didn't do that right. We want Caden outside. We're going to put Caden outside on cash cart. So we've got Caden outside and Matthew inside. And you have this set up and you say, okay, Caden, you're on cash cart. Matthew, you're on drinks. And we're going to assign you as rotating buddies. And so every hour, every half hour, or whatever you like, we're going to have you switch. And we have these new buttons that are now available that when you put them in these rotating containers and you click it, they'll switch. And so now Matthew is outside on cash cart and Caden is inside on drinks. You can switch them back. Now, this is not designed to be the solution. This is designed to take care of the calculations so that your shift leaders can do some setup in advance, and then on the shift, do the swaps, make the things happen, and continue serving a lot of guests really fast without having to, oh man, are they inside or outside? Did I switch? Did they unswitch or whatever? But one click will keep track of the state. You can do this multiple times. So here I've got Caden and Matthew. This other time I've got Brian. So we've got Brian on Window Expo, which is outside. And then I've got Caitlin B, who's the passer, and that's inside. And so we've assigned those two people in a rotating buddy, and we can swap them and swap them and swap them and go back and forth and do that however you like. The capability is actually pretty advanced. If you want to get really fancy, you can add multiple people into these rotating sets, and one click will cycle them through in whatever order you define. So I'm gonna go ahead and create an example. With this setup, let's say that it's kind of cold today, but it's not that cold. So I wanna have 2 outside positions and then 1 inside position in a rotation. And so what I'll do as a shift leader is I'll think about this. I'll say it's pretty cold. In a given hour, we could potentially do rotations every 20 minutes. And every 20-minute period we'll rotate. So one person will do 1 outside position, another outside position, and then have an inside position. So they're cycling in 1 out of 3 rotations. In order to do that, I would pick one person who's outside. Let's take Lauren. So I'm gonna put Lauren in a set. I'll take another outside position. We'll take Ethan B this time. And I'll pair that with an inside position. I might pick, we'll pick drinks 2, Josiah. Let's find Josiah. So I'll put all 3 of those in this rotating set. You can call them rotating buddies or sets or whatever name you use, you can choose. Now pay attention to the order. We've got Lauren first, and then Ethan, and then Josiah. So Lauren is on IPOS leader. Ethan is on window 2 expo. Josiah is on drinks. Now when I click, one click is gonna take Lauren and put Lauren where Ethan is and Josiah. So I'm gonna click, and now Lauren is on cash cart. Oh, I've got 2 Ethans, that's what's going on here. Lauren's on cash cart. Ethan is now on drinks, and Josiah R is the leader. And I can click it again, and now Lauren is on drinks 2, Ethan B is the IPOS leader, and Josiah R is on cash cart. I click it one more time and it will return to where we started. Lauren K on the IPOS leader, Ethan B on lane 2 cash cart, and Josiah R on drinks 2. And we can cycle around and keep going. And you could obviously construct any kind of rotation pattern you want. You could have 1 outside position and 2 inside positions, or some stores will have thought through this and they'll define a particular order, and they'll say, okay, we have a particular set of things, and so we might do this for inside and outside for cold, but let's say we are not so concerned about the cold. We just want to give people variety and we want to help people change. And so let's do that. And so some stores will say, all right, we're going to define a rotation. We'll say we can rotate from the chicken, which is a bagging position, waffles, which is the other bagging position, and drinks and desserts. And then throughout the shift, we can rotate around and maybe throw in a register so that we can keep things lively, keep things fun, and cycle around. And so how would I do that? Well, I'd start by taking Tamara on the chicken. I would grab Trinity. On waffles. I would grab Matthew D on drinks. And then I would let's grab a register position. We'll put Autumn on register. So she's on register. We'll put Autumn. There we go. Autumn. And so now it's going to cycle bagger, 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 drinks, register. We can do this rotation. And so this is a power. It's really powerful, built into one click. The way you use it is totally up to you. I've given you a couple use cases. But that is our new rotating buddies, and it can be enabled on all of the stores. This is included in our base organizing shifts module. So everybody who uses their software, this feature is available. Let me also take this moment to highlight some of our new break sorts that we've just done. We upgraded our break sorting. We built in this special auto sort, and I'm running up on time. I want to get to the Q&A, so I'm gonna go fast. But an auto sort is going to, first of all, give you your employees based on the training data, your most advanced, your most skilled people first. So when you have an uncreated setup, it's going to give you your directors and your managers and your shift leaders. And in this demo store, it doesn't have any of that data. We haven't done that, but it's going to give you all your best people first. And then after you've created your setup, it's going to tell you who you should send on break next based on who started their shift first. And then when you're in the middle of your breaks, it's going to help you keep track of all the breaks and then tell you who to go home next. I'm going to skip this the break manager sort is a special one. This feature is available for people who use the advanced breaks module. And I'm going to come back to that. We have a highest training sort. This alphabetical sort I would have used when I was creating the setup earlier to find names faster. I would have used that, but I didn't want to this time. And we also provide a start time and a stop time sort. So that's an intro to our rotating buddies. That's how it works. The way you use it, up to you, totally flexible, powerful. We do still plan on making it better and improving. We have some ideas and we're open to more. I'm going to take a second and come to a new tab and demonstrate can you still see my screen? I hope so. I'm going to demonstrate our new break manager feature. For stores that use our break manager to track multiple breaks for a single employee, we have this new feature, the break manager, which includes the break view. And it will show all of the breaks right here in a little grid column view. And so you can send Allison on her 20-minute break. It's going to sort her up to the top to know that she's going next. And then you can click it again to send her on break and finish her break. Now, the mechanics of how it sorts are really advanced and they've been thoroughly thought through. It first gives you the employees who need a break next. While you're running the break, it's going to tell you who you sent into the pending state first, and we're providing an option to turn that off if your store doesn't want the pending state. And then it's going to sort them by who's coming back from their break next. And then after you've run the break and after you've done that, then it's going to do the math to show you who still needs their next break based on how long ago they took their first one. So that's how that works. Brief intro, not the topic of this discussion, but really exciting. And that's one of the features I just built this week, and it is available on beta here at beta.oneclickapp.com. You can try that out in your store if you use the advanced breaks module. The one last update I wanted to provide from the development team is our new layout editor. This is something we've been working on for about 2 months now. And this gives you the tools to edit your own setups and customize them however you want without sending us an email. So this is not all the way there yet, still in progress, but I just wanted to show you. It includes this new button up here for manage setups. We provide some instructions and some other options, and then it's going to give you the tools to select on any of these positions and say, I need a host. All right. And say, oh, now I've got another register. I need a 5th register. And say, oh, I don't need dispatch anymore. Actually, we need a mobile drinks. And say, oh, actually, we're going to need more IPOS than that. We're going to make it bigger. And say, you know what? We need more lane 2 IPOS too. We're getting really busy these days. And say, you know what? I just like it when drinks are bigger like this. And we need more baggers. And you know what? We're going to throw in an emoji too. Where's our server? We're going to throw in an emoji. So I'm going to put in our runner icon right here. Bam. Oh, and actually, we don't like to call it lane 1. We like to call it outside team. And we're going to give them a cold emoji because it's cold outside and we care about them. And we're going to call drive-through rocks. No, we're going to give them the drive-through cockpit. And we're going to give them a fire emoji because it's warm inside. And they go super duper fast. And we appreciate them for that. So that is our layout editor, brief demo. Still in his works. We still have some other, it's not all the way there yet. We're still working on it, but that's coming down the line pretty soon. And with that, I'm going to go back to this demo that I did with the rotating buddies and end and open the floor up to questions. Turn the time back over to you, Mike.
James, that was awesome. As you all can tell, James is super passionate about this. He loves Chick-fil-A. The passion oozes out of every pore, as you can clearly tell. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do what's called ask all to unmute. So it's going to send you a notification to ask you if you want to be unmuted. And then this is going to open up the live Q&A so that you can ask any questions to James or me. Actually, yeah, so go ahead. If you have any questions, I already sent you a notification to unmute your microphone, and you can go ahead and do that.
I would assert that sometimes the other operators have better answers than we do. So
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and start unmuting everybody manually. And if you have any questions, go ahead and please feel free to go ahead and ask.
Yeah, okay, quick question. You see on lane 2 IPOS, the little exclamation point symbol.
yes.
What does that indicate?
So that is used to indicate that this is an important position that is not filled. In this case, it's kind of erroneous because it already has a person. So this time it's been configured to require 2 people in there before the position will go away. Our demo store has not been customized like we customize your layouts.
Okay.
And so in your store, we customize it a lot more. This is not a great example of that feature.
Okay. I had a couple of leaders going through our demo, and that question came up, and I was like,
Notice
hey,
here
that's a
on
great
window,
question.
when I put Caitlin on window, it turns off.
Gotcha. Okay.
So when it's set up appropriately, it can help you recognize, oh, I'm missing my IPOS guys. Sometimes that happens like when you switch to your 2 o'clock setup and then your 2 o'clock people are home. Some of the spots will vacate and then that icon is like, hey, you missed it. Or look out for this one. And we can customize that based on the position and the time of the day to your store. And that's what we do that.
Gotcha. And then the other question the leader had was for the break management. Washington is kind of crazy as far as breaks go. So they're very strict as far as when those breaks need to fall. Does it have an indicator saying, hey, this person is about to go over the 3-hour mark and needs a break or something like that? Or is there a way to set up like an alert?
So that's the next phase we're working on with the break manager. Right now, it doesn't do that. It provides the times and it sorts them. So it's going to tell you the next person who needs a break. And the next thing we have on our list is to provide indication, probably here is where it's probably going to go, and say, hey, this break needs to be run within the next 30 minutes based on the time of the shift, position, based on the time of day, position in the shift, and potentially, and we're also thinking about, just like the KPS monitors work, we're thinking about going yellow when it's like, hey, you need to run this in the next 40 minutes, and going red when it's in the next 20 minutes. You're like, hey, your breaks are in the red. Like, get your breaks out of the red.
Yeah, that would be super sweet. Okay.
So that's what's next for us. We're working on that.
Cool.
Question: if we did that, would that solve your problem?
It should, yes.
Okay.
And
We'll keep working on
then I had, and then also based on your recommendation, I did reach out to the Idaho store because you mentioned that they use pods versus the buddy system. So I haven't heard back from them yet, but I expect to. So we're going to follow up more on how they set up their pods.
So the Emmett store does this. It's the same feature. They just call them pods. So this says pod 5, and then they'll put 5 people or 6 people in a pod and rotate them around in a particular order.
And is it I guess my question was, do they use the same 4 or 5 positions? So it's like, okay, pod 1 is drinks, then desserts, then outside, then back inside, or is that just purely based on discretion of the leader?
Yeah, so the manager, the front of house manager, created a little reference sheet for the shift leaders. And so when the shift leaders are creating their setups, they use this reference sheet and they put the same several positions, usually in the same pod. But then, of course, if it's different, then they might not include one position in the pod, or If they're doing training, they might take it out and rotate around without the training and then add it back into the pod.
Oh,
And,
gotcha.
all of that capability is possible just by taking people out of these sets and putting them back in, and being careful with the way you set things up. It's all possible.
And by the
Gotcha.
way, there's a couple of you that don't have updated Zoom software, so you may not be able to unmute. So you can just send those through chat message and I'll be able to read those questions. Does anybody else have any questions about rotating buddies or any of the new features that we're featuring right now?
Hey, can anyone hear me?
I hear you.
Yes.
So I don't know if this was answered yet, but I was wondering if whenever you are filling out this one click, is it associated with hot schedules, or are you inputting that in yourself?
Oh, no. We don't do any manual entry here. No, that is out of here. No, big no. Manual entry, we don't do that around here.
Awesome.
One click pulls all the data from hot schedules. It syncs automatically. When you make a change in hot schedules, it shows up here. We configure the way it works. And so all of this data pulls in automatically from hot schedules. Which breaks are necessary, one click calculates automatically based on the laws in your state and the rules that you send us, that calculates that automatically. And then you end up just doing one click at a time to send them on break or not send them on break, or move them around and put them in different positions.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great question. I see a question from Robert Hansen. He asked, is anybody doing setups for the entire week ahead of time? Answer, yes. The stores who, there are several stores that choose to ask after they start using one click, they'll post their schedules in hot schedules a week or two in advance. And then they'll tell their shift leaders, hey, we want all of your setups done on the Friday before the next week. Some stores have policies where they'll post their schedule, the week in advance or something, and then expect their shift leaders to make them 2 days in advance and send a picture or post it, kind of report into the managers and make sure that their setups are available ahead of time. And honestly, that culture of being prepared and having your setups done in advance instead of doing it as soon as you get on shift is one of the biggest blessings that is offered to Chick-fil-A's with this software, because you can do it in advance. If somebody changes shifts or their shift swaps or anything, one click shows you, and so you can make minor tweaks on the day of. But it creates a culture of employees knowing and being prepared. Okay, this is going to be an organized shift. I'm going to walk on. I've probably already looked at my phone and I already know I'm going to be outside today. I brought an extra coat. I wore extra thermals today. I might even know that at 7 o'clock I'm going to switch and I'm not going to be outside anymore and I'm going to be on window. So I'm going to mentally prepare to be working with the guests. I'm going to mentally prepare to, okay, let's go, drinks, bump. Don't forget to bump, sauces, straws, let's do all the thing. Mentally prepared to work with the OMD or runners or outside expediters, whatever you call them. And like doing your setups in advance is one of the most valuable things that you can have your shift leaders do as you use the software.
And it looks like there's several of you that are new to One Click app. Would it be beneficial for you if we do like a quick 5 to 10 minute overview of the core main features?
Yeah, especially if you're recording, this. A few leaders wanted in on this and they weren't able to make it, so that'd be great.
All right, so I'm gonna do a brief overview of the features. One Click app, as I mentioned earlier, imports all of your shifts from hot schedules. It then calculates which breaks are needed based on the length of the shift, and also based on the age of the employee, and also based on the time of day or whatever complicated rules you send us or your state does. We've done that, we manage that. So it calculates the breaks, and then it provides really easy tools for your shift leaders. I'm going to come back to my auto sort. It provides really easy tools for your shift leaders to look at who's working on the shift right now Okay, 5 o'clock today, who's working right now? Lists them out and makes it really easy to drag and drop them into a particular position. IPOS leader, Lizbeth on drive-through leader, Jonathan on window. Oh, actually, Jonathan, nope, I needed mine as a passer today. Cooper on waffles. So that's how the process works. I've already done that. The biggest value that it provides is that you can do it. It's online, so you can do it from home. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on the computer in the back office. You can do it on an iPad in the up front, on an iPad in the back of house. Over here, there's a button that switches you into the back of house. So it also imports your back of house shifts and calculates those breaks and does all those things. It allows you to create different setups at different times of the day. So I'll just use back of house for this example. You can look at your morning crew and create a setup to say, hey, in the morning crew, we're going to have Abel here and Erica here and Sergio on machines and Miguel on fries and Yuri secondary 1 and Veronica breading and Carolee, I guess we'll just have her float today. Primary 2, we'll do primary 2. Oh, actually, Abel's going to be a better floater. Carolee is better at primary, and that looks good. And so you can do your morning setup. If you want, you can go and create a lunch setup as well. Copy over the work you already did in the morning and adjust it a little bit. We'll switch Yuri to secondary 2 and put Abel on secondary 1 there. We'll move Veronica from breading and put Erica there because now we have Samuel. So we'll have Samuel come in on secondary fries, and also we'll have Ian help with floater. Tyler will be our team leader. We'll have Samantha on primary 2, yep, primary 1. We got an extra person, extra Chet, so we'll have a stalker here. And so that's a basic setup process, back of house. You can do that in the morning, do it in the afternoon. 2 o'clock, we'll start with what we've already done. And you'll notice it's going to take out the people who are off. So here, Sophia was off at 2 o'clock. And you'll notice she's no longer on the 2 o'clock setup. So it automatically takes off the people who are gone and then lets you work with, say, okay, what do we, oh, we're missing our shift leader. Chet, we'll have to put, actually, no, not Chet. Tyler will have to be our shift leader now. Samantha, and anyway, so you go through this process and your shift leaders can think through this process in advance. Each position, each employee, make sure you're not missing anybody, make sure you're not missing any positions. At multiple checkpoints throughout the day, which are configurable, which are designed and we customize to your store so it works just the way you want it. As far as breaks go, it also helps you keep track of your breaks. I'm going to switch to front of house for this because that's where it's usually a lot more helpful. I'm also going to demonstrate our new break manager feature here. So with the break manager, it's going to sort and put the person who needs to go on break next on top. So down here, we've got Rachel. She started at 6, so she's on top. So we're going to send Rachel on break. It first goes into a yellow pending state, which means you mean to send Rachel on break next, but she's not on break. And then you can click it a second time and she'll go on break. Some stores have employees click this card themselves on an iPad or on the computer right behind the door or something, so that it kind of holds them accountable and say, hey, 10-minute break, you clicked the 10-minute break. You'll notice that this timer here, on break 10 minutes, and then it has a 10. This is going to count down automatically. And so this is so it's 10 right now, and in a minute it's going to change to 9. And it's going to count down all the way to 0, and then it's going to count to -3. And you're going to be like, hey, Rachel, you clicked the break. I needed you back 3 minutes ago. We've got a rush. Like, let's go, chop, chop. Not going to put up with this anymore. I mean, that was kind of salty. I don't know if your leaders actually do that. That's their decision. But we just give you the information and you choose what you want to do with it.
By the way, there's a couple more Q&A questions.
Okay, so I'll go fast. So it tracks breaks. You run multiple breaks at the same time. Keep track of if your store has to give one person multiple breaks, and then they turn blue once they finish the break, and they sort down to the bottom in this view. Or there are other sorts to help you manage all the crazy things you have to do with breaks. Also, quick preview, there is a training manager built in as well. It helps your trainers, training managers.
I think a couple of those questions are related to what you were just showing.
Let's see if I can find my Q&A. Let's see. Q&A, where is it? Where'd you go? Okay, next question. Does one-click communicate setups directly to team members via app like Hot Schedules does for their schedule? Will they know ahead where they will be if we do the setups ahead for the week? Answer, yes. All of your employees can log in with their email address, which is stored in Hot Schedules. In this demo store, it just shows email at example.com. But all of your employees and your shift leaders, everybody can log in for themselves and see the setups. It has permissions built in, so when your team members log in, they won't be able to edit it, but when your shift leaders log in, they will. Next question, how does it work with training? Answered that. Next question, can you edit someone's timeout if they're staying later or for something or to accommodate unforeseen volume? Len Spadoni, right now the answer to that question is no. Right now we import from Hot Schedules and we treat Hot Schedules as a source of truth. We've had this question from other people. We recognize that sometimes you need to make custom edits and we're aware of that, and we will keep working on that and come back. But right now, no, you'll need to, right now we don't provide an answer for that. What would be better? I guess, yeah, right now we don't provide an awesome for that. The key then would be to, I don't know, get better. I mean, try to first, I mean, the whole thing is unforeseen volume. Yeah, we don't do that right now. We just handle the normal stuff. Oh, next question. What is the reward icon? Ooh, great question. So in our demo store, we enable all of our features. This reward is related to our beta moolah feature. It's a reward system built into one-click. It's beta, it's not fully developed. But what it lets you do is it lets you give employees this moolah, a virtual currency built into one-click, rewards for doing good things. So you can give them 1 or 2 moolah for being enthusiastic during the rush. Great, love that. Oh man, it wants me to actually type it. For cleaning the dirty dishes. All right, cleaning the dirty dishes. And we'll give you 3 moolah for that. With the moolah feature, it lists out it keeps track of who has moolah and how much they have. And it allows leaders to give out certain amounts. It gives limits to how much moolah your leaders can give out. And just while I'm demonstrating this beta feature, which is not available, but some stores are beta testing it, so you can also drop these moolah bills on an employee and give 10 moolah to Brandon and 20 moolah to Rachel or 2 moolah to Eric. So that's our moolah feature. And then you can use it to cash out and like give people actual rewards for earning moolah. Run a little store for your employees. If you want to beta test that feature, we can work with you. We'll want your feedback though, because it's not all the way ready right now. Next question, does the break manager keep a recording of break activity to help us demonstrate a system of break discipline? Yes. So there is a feature. We have this break report available on our team members screen. Up at the top, there's another option for break report. And this is going to list out the breaks for all your employees. So for each of the employees, how many minutes of breaks were they allotted based on the shifts that they worked? How many of those breaks did they use? Did they go over their breaks? And then on average, how long were they in the pending state for each of the breaks? And there are abilities to go in and edit some of these timestamps if you want to. And also, if you go into an employee profile, there is a breaks screen and you can look at the breaks for an individual employee on different days and just look at their data. And this is a feature we're continuing to work on, but the answer is yes. Great answer. All right, good questions, Robert Hansen. Thank you for sending these in. Who's got another one?
If no new ones, I think you can move on to the training. I think that's where you left off.
All right. Until I get another question, I'm going to keep talking about training because I really love training. Training is honestly one of the features that makes that makes the biggest difference in a store in the long run. This is real. I talked to a shift manager in Idaho, and I was talking to her. Her name is Sabrina, but she was actually complaining to me. She was like, you know what, James, it's so tough. I always work the day shifts. I'm always the day shifts. But right now I'm running the night shift. And honestly, I don't know anybody on my team. Like if you ask me, I couldn't honestly tell you their names. And I don't like that because I'm a good leader. I want to like do better. I want to like know my people. I want to take care of them. I want to know like their favorite color and what they like to do. And like take good care of my employees. And she doesn't know them because she usually works day shifts and all the high schoolers work on the night shift. And so I said, hold up, Sabrina, pause right there. Take a second. Can I just point out how cool it is that you don't know any of the night shift crew, like you just don't know them, but you can still run a pretty decent shift. You can still do a great job running your shift because the software like does a lot of the hard work for you. Like, isn't that pretty cool? Their store, this is the Ammon store. They have been using the software now for 5 years. And their trainers keep their training data basically up to date. And so as a shift leader, when she's looking on the roster and when she's doing her setups, all of these are filled out. Now these are blank and they're defaults because this is a demo store. We don't spend time doing ratings in a demo store. But they have, and so it shows her who are the shift leaders. And then for all the high schoolers, do they know register? Do they know window? Do they know IPOS? Do they know drinks? Do they know desserts? It shows her what they know. And so she can put them in new positions, work on training, and she can run a pretty decent shift without knowing any of the people at all, which is a capability that's totally enabled by the software. And so that's another reason why this auto sort is one of my favorites, because it's going to do that automatically. It's going to give you your best people right on top when you're creating your setups. I've talked a lot now. I want another question. Okay, fine. I'll keep going. Let me show you these rating prompts. Oh yeah, Julian, I'd love for you to ask your question live. Go for it.
Hi, so I more so wanted some advice, just because, all of us are experiencing, the labor shortage. And so you had mentioned that basically if we call them holes. So if we have any holes in our setups, then it is up to the managers to be able to, contact team members, ask them if they can work outside of their availability, work extra for us. And you mentioned that if it's not updated in hot schedules, then it won't like come on to like the software. So what would you think is the best way to like still have, your setup updated and, make sure that, we're running our breaks, like just doing everything that the software is allowing us to do?
So this is going to be a hot schedules discussion. The first thing that comes to mind, I don't know how familiar you are. I know that there's a feature in hot schedules called a house shift. And a house shift is a shift that you put on the schedule, but it's not assigned to anybody. And an employee can pick up a house shift if they want to, or they cannot. And so a good solution to that might be, if you're short on shifts, create all the shifts you need, assign people to the ones you can. And if you can't assign somebody to the other shifts, then leave it as a house shift. And then if you can convince an employee to like come in or take the shift, ideally you'd call them a couple days in advance. You'd be looking at you'd come up here and you'd look at Saturday and you'd be looking at your setup and you'd do some of it. And you'd look and you'd see, oh, I've still got some holes in my setup. And so you'd be calling people a couple days in advance and say, hey, we're looking ahead at Saturday. And at Saturday, we're going to be short staffed. Would you mind picking up one of those house shifts on Saturday so that we can do that? And like, we really need you on Saturday. And then in hot schedules, they can go and look at the available shifts and pick up the house shift And then that's done in hot schedules and it will reflect in one click. And as a bonus, you've thought that out 2 days in advance. So it's not hectic on Saturday because you already worked it out on Thursday or Wednesday or something.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I am familiar with the house shifts. So if we were to create those, would we be able to like change the name on the software to like reflect the person that is covering it? Is that possible?
So the house shift doesn't show up in one click. Only the shifts that are assigned to somebody will show up in one click. So a house shift is like a placeholder. It's like, hey, I need somebody here, but I don't have them yet. And so in hot schedules, once somebody fills that and like picks it up and then you approve the pickup, I'm pretty sure that's how it works in hot schedules. Then once that pickup is approved, just like with any shift swap procedure, once that's approved, one click will notice that. And I can't demonstrate this. I wish I could demonstrate it. It's hard to demonstrate. But say, for example, Lowlin wants to do a shift swap. And so she's going out of town and she forgot to do that. So she calls on her own. She messages or calls or whatever and talks to some other person. We'll just say James. So she calls me, right? Lowlin calls me and says, hey, actually, I forgot I'm going on a date Saturday night. Would you mind picking up my Saturday night shift? And I said, I mean, I'm not going on a date, so sure, yeah, I'll pick it up for you. And so she can initiate the shift swap, I can pick it up, and then a manager approves that. And then once that shift swap is approved in hot schedules, one click will reflect that. It's going to leave Lowlin on the setup because the shift leader already put it there, but the whole card is going to turn dark red to indicate that she's no longer there. For whatever reason, the shift was dropped, she doesn't have it anymore. So Lowlin will be here, but the card will be dark red. And then my name will show up here on the unassigned team members. And so the shift leaders can say, okay, I don't have Lowlin anymore, and they'll take her off. And then they'll say, okay, but I do have James. And so they might put me where Lowlin was, or they might rearrange their setup and do it slightly differently. Now, in the case with house shifts, the way that would work is, say you create your setup like this. I'm gonna go to back of house where it's smaller. Say you create your setup like this, but you're still short-staffed. You could create like 2 or 3 more house shifts, but when you create them, they're not going to show up in one click. They're just not going to be here. So you're not going to see any house shifts. And then if somebody picks up the house shift, then their name will appear and then they'll be there. And so if you've already created your setup, then you'll see them, they would appear like this. So you'd have everybody assigned and then the new person that just picked up the house shift. That's how that would work. And so you just end up having more people instead of they would just add themselves. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that does.
Do you think that could work, or is that like too complicated?
No, it does make a lot of sense. I didn't understand what you were saying in the beginning, but what you were saying near the end definitely made a lot of sense. So because I just wanted to make sure that I could keep track of the people that I was adding. So the fact that that house shift turns into like the person's name and like the shift that they would be working, then that makes a lot of sense. So that would be really helpful towards us.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and do that. Thank
I
you.
also have another question, unless
Please go for it.
So at our restaurant, we definitely like to keep track of just our like statistics for previous weeks. So making sure that, we can anticipate what sort of sales we're going to have, what sort of productivity we're going to run. Do you guys have any like features like that? So typically when we do it, we put our hourly sales, and we will keep track of like how many people we'll have in back of house, how many front of house, and then put a projected productivity at the bottom, just so that we can like try and run a certain number at the end of the day.
Yeah, so this is what we have as far as stats go. Up on the top up here, it's going to count how many team members you have on the roster, how many of them are actually assigned into positions. It will calculate the shift strength based on the training data, and it will count out your leaders, and it will count a couple other things. Short answer, we don't calculate productivity or any of that. We don't have access to any of the financial data. I am pretty sure that Hot Schedules has features to work with productivity and labor forecasting. At this time, OneClick does not.
There is one more question from Robert Hansen.
Let's do Robert. For the training feature, can you pair up the newest team members with their training veteran in the same position in a shadow configuration showing on the setup? Great question. Several people have this question. The question is, how do I indicate who's training who on a position? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to practice this. Let's just go ahead and assume that I'm going to be the training manager for a second, and I'm going to have a council with myself or with some other trainers, a training group. I'm going to say I would review the training dashboard and I'd review the progress of an individual, and I'd come up with a decision that it's time to train Kent T on, it shows register right now, so it's time to train him on register. That's just how our store works. So we do a council, we do a process. One Click has tools to make those decisions. But then after you make that decision, then what? Okay, so Ken, it's time to train Ken on register. I would look and figure out when is Ken working, and then we're gonna do that. And then I would probably talk to the scheduling manager and make sure I have a trainer on shift that time. Maybe I always have a trainer, or whatever, however you do. And then I would say, and who's gonna train Ken on register? By let's look. John is going to train Ken on register. All right, here we go. John train Kent T on register 2 p.m. to 4. So the training manager can go ahead and type this note into the note up here at the top ahead of time. They might go through the whole week at a time and say, okay, today John is training here. On Friday, John is going to train. Oh, wait, we don't do training on Fridays. All right, we're going to skip ahead to next week. We'll go to Monday. On Monday, John is going to train somebody else. So you do this process, right? But then what? So today, then when you say John is going to train Ken on register, I'll take John's name. John is here. I'll take John and I'll put him on register. And then I'm going to take Kent. I'm going to sort it alphabetically. Here we go. Learn this lesson. Alphabetical. Kent. Here we go. Oh, there he is. Kent. I'm going to put John. All right, mobile runner. And I'm going to put Kent and John, not register, mobile runner. I'm going to put Kent and John in the same position in one click. Usually this position only has room for one person, but most of the positions are configured to expand to hold more than that. In our demo store, this register is not configured to expand up to 2. But in most of the other stores, we do even on the registers, we'll allow them to expand up to 2 to make more room. And those are the kinds of features that you can change for yourself with our layout editor, which is coming out soon. Another thing, some stores will do, this is what they'll do. They'll create another position, like wherever, and they'll make it a training position. So we'll have a trainer, and they'll make it too wide, and then they'll have a trainee position that's too wide. And so this way you can put you could put several people in the trainer's position and a couple people in the trainee's position and indicate things that way. I personally don't prefer this method because then you still have to indicate where they're being trained. And so my favorite method of doing this is to put both of them in the same position and include a note up on top. Oh, not on this one. This one. Yeah. Now it's going to show up over here. What the heck? I'll have to look into that. I'm upset.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you'd like to cover, or any other final question that somebody would like to ask? If not, I can go ahead and conclude with this, and let me just share a couple of things real quick.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you can see this, but let me just share the presentation. Share. All right, there we go. So for those of you who are interested, our pricing is very reasonable. For less than the cost of 2 medium waffle fries per day, for roughly $5 a day, that's what our packages start off at. There are other modules that you can add on, and we can talk about those, and that we're happy to talk to you about those. Our focus is 100% on Chick-fil-A. So think of us as your custom software development company. Right here, it says customer, but it's custom. So that as you become a customer or a client of One Click App, you can send us screenshots. You can send us ideas. You're like, hey, you know what? I don't like the way that you're doing this. It doesn't really work this way for how we have our setup or how we run our store. We love to hear that from you. We love to hear anything that you'd like for us to improve, because we want you to rely on us to create the absolute best software for your business. If you can think of us as a custom software shop for you, Chick-fil-A, everybody wins. And the more Chick-fil-A's we have in the system, the better we make the software, and it just becomes a great circle of how we all help each other to succeed. So we are so grateful to have you on this call today. And and if you'd like to get a free trial of One Click App, it's a free 15-day trial. And all you have to do is go to oneclickapp.com/free-trial. And that will get you into the system. You can tell us exactly how your store is set up so that we can customize it to fit your exact needs. And then you're up and running for a two-week free trial, and we're happy to help you out. James, it's been a pleasure. James is his passion really shows through the code of what he created and what he dreamt up of 5 years ago, and what it's become today. It's an absolute incredible. And also your love for Chick-fil-A and to be able to help them to succeed is infectious. So thank you, everybody, for your participation, and we look forward to hearing from you. Take care.
See you next month.